to the church. It seemed rather frightening for the protesters.
It was rather frightening, and it was President Trump sending a message that he feels good about today. Looking at these images, he wanted to show that he could move Americans physically out of the way to do this photo op. One of the things the president said yesterday was that America was founded on the rule of law, and in his case, he was making the case that this rule of law and his ability to walk across the street takes precedent over constitutionally protected rights, the freedom of the press, the freedom to gather of the protesters. I was standing on 17th Street in Pennsylvania, which is a historic corner right in front of the White House, and I tasted the tear gas. I choked on the tear gas myself. I was confused why the police were being so violent with a peaceful protest. There was no provocation. People weren't throwing things. People weren't doing anything to the police that would have warranted this use of force. But what police did was advance on protesters, myself included, as a reporter, and they were throwing tear gas and clearing the field. And then later on, I was confused, wondering why this happened. And then I looked up and saw the images of the president in front of the church, and that's what he wanted Americans to know, that he was being dominant in this moment. It's a signal to governors that this is what he wants to see happen in states all across the country. So this is the president today saying that he wants this to be the way that this is handled. He wants to see these people as terrorists. He wants to see them as people that he can physically move out of the way when it's ready and time to do a taxpayer-funded video of his walk to the church.
So that picture right there, Gene Robinson, the president holding the Bible up, pointing at it like it was a Trump stake. And, of course, we remember that image from the campaign. They weren't even Trump stakes. But it's so staggeringly sort of empty, given other moments in history where presidents have gone to churches, have used prayer to try and restore hope, restore calm, fill the hearts of the brokenhearted. I can think of many moments in even recent history. And I can't explain it. Perhaps you can put it better into words, what happened here at this church and also what didn't happen.
Well, what didn't happen was what usually happens when a leader goes to a church. It usually goes inside. It usually prays. Usually speaks with people, with the clergy, with parishioners. There's usually a spiritual moment. This was not a spiritual moment. It was a campaign moment. And it was, but the fascinating thing was how sort of weirdly transparent it was. We must clearing away the protesters to allow this completely artificial walk across the park, to stand in front of a boarded up church holding a Bible as if it were an object that had just landed from outer space, and look at this thing I have in my hand. I wonder what it is, and turning it this way and turning it that way. Very strange. I mean, obviously there's no one way to hold the Bible. I've never seen anybody hold a Bible like that. So I've just never seen it. And to say nothing of perhaps cracking it open and reading a favorite passage. That's one reason you would carry a Bible around with you if you wanted to read from it, but there was none of that. So it will all be gussied up in post-production, I guess, for the campaign ads that it will feature in. But watching it in real time, it was, in addition to being anti-democratic and horrifying on so many levels, it was just transparently weird and disturbing on that level